Park of Holyoke, Massachusetts, and we're in the middle where the Civil War monument is. It says on the face of it, in memory of our volunteers who died for the Union, 1861-1865. This was made to honor the veterans and is placed here in 1876. The top of it has a statue of Columbia. We know it's Columbia because Columbia is always represented with a shield, with a laurel wreath, and with a tiara on the back of her head. She is not the Statue of Liberty or Lady Liberty at all. In fact, Lady Liberty did not exist until 1886 when France gave the Statue of Liberty. So this is Columbia, the first female allegorical figure of the United States from 1730 to 1920. She was the most important figure by far. And from 1920 onwards, it's been Statue of Liberty. So, and this is one of 3 renditions Columbia can take on. This is a very peaceful one. There's others look like a comical, very similar to Uncle Sam. Another rendition of Columbia is she's warlike. And here she's in a very peaceful mood. Very similar to a lot of statues in the Civil War. So, what we see here is also one plaque. In the front, it's a person going off to war saying goodbye to his son and his wife. And we're going to go around the 3 sides and see how they've made renditions of the plaque and have put names. Okay, if you look on the top of this, there's names on there. Each side has names, either 18 names or 17 names. And what they've done, they ranked them in order by first the cavalry are listed. So the 1st Massachusetts, the 3rd Massachusetts Cavalry. And then they start on the infantry, 1st Massachusetts, 2nd Massachusetts, 10th Massachusetts Infantry. And then they give you the name of each person that from Holyoke that died during the course of the Civil War because injuries or sickness acquired during the Civil War. There's 55 men with names up there. If they were officers, they would tell you, captain, sergeant, corporal, so forth. All right, the first one is Myron Pratt, 1st Massachusetts Cavalry. The biggest by far is the 10th Massachusetts Infantry, which was based itself in Holyoke. These men were from Holyoke, and they died for their service to the Union. Now, their names are etched in stone up there from 1876. It's been worn out. And you can see in the bottom now that you have a plaque, Stephen. And this plaque is honoring the man. It was put here this year from a grant money from Community Preservation Act of Holyoke and also from the Massachusetts government. They each gave $50,000 to make improvements to the statue and also to put these plaques around the base because the inscriptions on the side were hard to read. All right, now we'll look at the 3rd slide. Okay, up there, we're in the back of Columbia. Up there is the 2nd set of men's names. Again, they're extremely hard to read. The best way to read them, if you want to read them up there, is when the sun faces into them, and then they become easier enough to read. But they've also been reproduced on the plaque down here, and it starts again with 10th Massachusetts Infantry and many men's names, including Simeon Smith, Daniel Shane. Then they go 15th, 21st, 24th, and 27th Massachusetts Infantry. All right, now, 2 of these men have been buried in Holyoke, and we'll point them out at the very end, but 55 are buried, of course, around the United States. Okay, this is the 4th side, and in the 4th side, you can see the men's names clearly. So if you look upwards, finally you can see the men's name. It's not because they're differently worn out on this side. It's only because when the sun faces directly into the names, when the sun faces in those names, the names become prominent enough to read. And so you can look up there and see James Sullivan, 22nd Massachusetts Infantry, all the way down. And finally, they have the end of Massachusetts, and they go on to the 25th or 35th New York Infantry, and then they give a volunteer sergeant, Eldridge Pierce, who's buried out in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. So you can see all those names up there. You can also, if you look down the midsection, see the 4th plaque along, and these plaques have shown the man leaving to war, saying goodbye to the wife, then in war, and then getting injured, and then dying from his injury, and this is where he dies from the injury. They show here the mother and the son alongside a tree, and there's a burial ground in the background, so the man has died. So it's a nice series of plaques. Alright, now, on this 4th side, of course, they added another plaque inwards, and the plaque gives all the same name that are up above. Now, I'm going to show you one thing. I mentioned that 2 of these men are buried within the cemetery, so we're going to go around and look, keep our camera up on the nice view going around. There's two men that are buried in Holyoke of these 55, and that's Thomas Holman is buried in Forestdale, and also James Burr, who is buried in Forestdale, also of Holyoke. So, and they're on this side. And notice that you can't see it because the sun is blocking out the inscriptions on the top. So it's quite a difference from the sun side to the shaded side. So I'm glad you visited this beautiful Civil War monument. Yeah.